All right, if you clicked on this video, then we're in the same boat because you can see that it is dealing with emotional trauma. Emotional trauma really might be one of the most intense and worst things that you will ever have to go through. And something that really pisses me off is that when you go to Google it, let's say it's time, okay, I need to get some help. You look for resources and you can't find anything. Google suggests this: talk with others about how you feel, calm yourself, take care of yourself, avoid using alcohol, drugs, and tobacco, and get back to your daily routine. Well, thanks, Google. That could be the most generic ass advice that you could have ever offered. So today, I am going to help you because I have gotten on the other side of emotional trauma. I am literally in the middle of getting through new emotional trauma as we speak. And this is very helpful to talk about it, but I want to help other people as well because there's nothing really out there to help with this emotional trauma. So if you are one who is feeling weighed down by the chains of emotional trauma and you're really craving a life where your mental health is not just surviving every single day, but actually thriving, then this video is for you because we're going to talk about some practical tips to get you there, to get you back to where you want to be. So just so you know, this type of video was not something that I had planned to do in my little planning of, different YouTube videos that I wanted to put out there, but life happens. And so I decided to pivot a little bit because I felt that there's nothing out there that's really helping me. So what about the other people out there who really need help from this type of trauma or any kind of emotional trauma? Because to be honest, the things that I'm going to talk about today can be related and applied to any type of emotional trauma. So before we get there, we're going to define what emotional trauma actually is. And trauma can result from a various amount of different life experiences, including abuse, loss, or significant life changes. A breakup, perhaps, any of those things would count as some kind of emotional trauma. And it is not just about the event itself, but actually how it is impacting our emotional well-being, which is where we need to keep ourselves in check, because that is number one, keeping our mental health at bay and in a place that is in a good place so that we can be there for ourselves and be there for the other humans that we have to be there for. So emotional trauma can feel like a range of different emotions, and that includes sadness and guilt and literally brokenheartedness. Last year, I had a miscarriage, and that was a type of emotional trauma that really rocked my world. I took care of it, but I will never forget how I felt at the very beginning because I didn't think that I would ever feel normal again. I had those questions like, when will I feel normal again? When will I get on the other side of this? But I did. I made it through. I worked things out in a healthy way. And Google was not helpful. No offense, Google. But those feelings that I was feeling were feelings that I had to make sure that I felt with every bane of my existence, because it is a natural and human experience, which brings us on to step number 2. So step number 2 in this process is actually going and acknowledging your feelings. The only way that you can heal from this type of trauma is to acknowledge and validate your feelings. Listen, it is okay to not be okay. This is really something that I had to learn, because at the very beginning of the journey, 6 weeks ago, I lost my brother, and I'm not going to get into details because it's going to make me sad. It's still very fresh, but I'm literally trying to heal as we speak. And at that time, I felt like I suppressed my feelings a little bit and put them aside. I felt like I had to be so strong for everybody else. And I do. I have to be strong for my children. I have to be strong for my husband. I have to be strong for our business. I have to be strong for everybody else in my family who is suffering. But once I got to a point where, and this was after I had come back from going back home to Illinois and dealing with everything. And I finally gave myself the power or space to be able to acknowledge and express how I felt without any judgment. And that judgment could be something like guilt that I might have felt for not talking to that person enough, or not doing more to, to resist or prevent what actually happened. That's when you can really let all of those emotions out. They say that the stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I don't really believe that those are all a part of it. Those definitely might be some things that you feel, but I believe that coming to the forefront and accepting what happened is something that really you should think about doing right away. I actually got this advice from somebody. I was on a plane ride home back to Florida, where I live, after going back to Illinois, my hometown, to deal with everything. And I ran into this other flight attendant, and she was talking about the death of her brother, and I literally lost it. And she was so sweet, and she came and talked to me, and she told me that one of the most important things that she wishes that she did, because this happened a number of years ago, was to deal with it. Like, deal with the grief, the event, the trauma now, because she put her feelings aside and dealt with it later, and it did not help her cause. So step number 2, I guess, is to really acknowledge those feelings, let it out, cry it out, scream it out, journal it out, do whatever it is that you need to do to accept what has actually happened. Okay, step number 3 is to possibly, this is up to you. This is up to everybody, but don't be ashamed if this is what you want to do, and that is to seek professional support. So while sharing with friends and family is beneficial, seeking professional help is crucial, because therapists, they are trained to get you through the healing process and deal with it in a healthy way. And they provide coping mechanisms and a safe space to really explore your emotions. If this is something that you're against and you don't want to be in a room with somebody else, then I might suggest getting on YouTube, for example. I have found a couple of different therapists on there that will talk about some different types of coping strategies that you can deal with. And there's also an online resource called betterhelp.com. I haven't gotten into it yet because I started a grief share, and this was just something that really worked for me really well a year ago with my miscarriage. And I just started a grief share at my church. It is very helpful to have people in your corner that know exactly what you've been through. That camaraderie is, I just can't explain how much it was something that helped me. And just don't be ashamed if that's where you need to go. Seeking professional help is something that you should feel proud about, because you're taking a step in the right direction, in the healthy direction of recovering from this grief. It is never going to be something that goes away, but in time, it will hopefully get easier. And to me, it is about dealing with it and facing it head on, and knowing that that was something or someone that you had in the past. And we know that they are no longer here on earth, but they are always going to be in our memory and our spirit. And those people who know what they're talking about, those people who have been through the same thing, can really be a resource that can be super helpful for you. So joining some kind of grief share, if you're not necessarily wanting to get in the camp of seeking a therapist, might be a great place to start. It is something that has truly helped me through this process in the past, and I've started again for this experience, and I'm really excited about how it can help me. So don't be ashamed to seek professional help. All right, step number 4 here is something that I talk about quite a bit, and it is something that should definitely help you and it is important to remember this, to practice self-care. Self-care really plays a very vital role in healing. Engaging in any activity that's really going to bring you joy, whether it's reading, exercising, or spending time in nature, taking care of your physical and mental well-being will go hand in hand and is really a powerful step towards recovery. Listen, grief has no agenda. It can sneak up on you at any time. And it is important to let your loved one, your support group, your people know just how to help you, because they don't know. So you have to keep that communication at bay. Sometimes I just want to be around my husband or my parents or my siblings. And sometimes I just want to be by myself. And I'll just communicate that to my husband. And, then the next day I might wake up and feel a little bit better. I might be in a different place, but dealing with it instead of letting your emotions or anger go out to other people or on your kids or other people that just don't deserve it is a very important step in this journey. So practicing some kind of self-care is super important. All right, so a part of this practicing self-care is step number 5, mindfulness and meditation. So incorporating some kind of mindfulness and meditation into your daily routine can really help to ground you in the present moment. And practicing things like deep breathing and guided meditation can just really assist in managing that stress and anxiety and fostering a real sense of calm. So I'm going to tell you a quick little story. I used to work at a bar as a bartender, and I do not smoke cigarettes, but as you know, a lot of people who work in that industry like to smoke cigarettes. So they would go out for cigarette breaks. And I was like, well, that's not fair. I don't get to smoke a cigarette or have a cigarette break, I should say. So I decided, on my Apple Watch, there is this breathing exercise. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go outside and have my breathe break. And I would just go outside and do my breathe break. This was well before any of this trauma happened, but you better believe that it's something that I will continue to practice, and it should help you as well to just give you a sense of calm. I mean, I practice this with my children all the time ever since they could communicate with me and they are worked up and dealing with something. I say, let's breathe. And we breathe together. We count to 10. It is so helpful. And as far as the idea of meditation goes, listen, I was a huge skeptic about meditation. I would look at people and be like, what are they doing? Like, these people are weirdos. This is some voodoo stuff. I don't know. It was not for me, but I gave it a shot and it actually worked. It worked really well for me. If you can just actively actually give it a shot yourself and not just sit there knowing that it's something silly, it's something that weird people do, then it might be something that really helps you. And I think another part of the reason why I was against it was having 2 young children. I felt like it was a little bit selfish to take that time away. It's not. It's not selfish. It's self-care. So finding some kind of meditation that works for you is not only going to bring you a sense of calm and get you into a better mental state, but it's also going to help with all of that rewiring to get your brain back to a place that is sound and happy and forgiving and getting those nasty thoughts and emotions out of your head. All right, my step number 6 in this process is to make sure that you are establishing some healthy boundaries. Setting boundaries is crucial for protecting your emotional well-being. Learn to say no when necessary and make sure that you are really prioritizing relationships that contribute to your positive well-being and positivity in your life. Creating healthy boundaries is really, it's a form of self-love and self-respect, even though it might not feel like it at times, like you feel like you're being, rude to someone who wants to hang out with you, but you know that that person is not in the best interest of your well-being, it is very important for you to just say no and take your time. So here's the thing. Something that has helped me tremendously is really repeating this mantra every single day, and that is protect your energy. You have every right to feel like shit during this process of dealing with the emotional trauma. You've been through something, like you have dealt with this adversity, and you do not owe anybody anything. You don't owe any negative people any of your time. You don't owe anyone who's going to argue with you or give you a sense of feeling like shit your time. It is so important for you to have a little imaginary bubble that you put around you. And what you're doing is this is going to just protect this energy that we are working on every single day. We are working on this positivity. We are working on this mental health, that we are trying to get back into a good place after something so terrible that happens. And it is just something that you need to prioritize. Protect your energy. Put it on your to-do list every day. Put it in your notes. Put it on your calendar every morning. Protect your energy. It is self-respect. It's self-love. It is not selfish. It is what you need to do. Protect your energy. Is time and patience. Just remember that time is really on your side as you deal with whatever the emotional trauma is that you're dealing with. Healing from emotional trauma takes time, and it is essential to be patient with yourself. Progress might be gradual. It's not going to happen overnight, trust me, but every little step forward is a victory, and you should really celebrate those little achievements, no matter how small they are. Recognize them and recognize the strength within you. Something that really would drive me nuts is, I would say this myself, but I'm realizing that it's not the case. Time does not heal everything, but time definitely helps, okay? Today, I am better than I was 6 weeks ago when the trauma event happened. I lost my brother on December 6th. And today it is January 31st. So that is 6 weeks ago. And today I'm better than I was that day, of course. So literally every day it's like this. It's a wave. It's a roller coaster. And I am guessing that in 6 months, I'm going to be doing a little bit better. And I'm guessing that in a year, I'm going to be doing even better. But every day is different. And some days are just fine. And some days I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I feel really good today. And then some days I wake up and at the end of the day, I'm laying in my bed and crying. But again, it is okay to deal with those emotions. We have to do that. But everything is going to be okay. You are going to be okay. You are going to get through this. We can get through this together in a healthy way and process it the way that we are supposed to, because humans are really supposed to experience this type of grief. Like I said, if you're not experiencing grief, then that means that you never loved and allowed yourself to love in the first place. So make sure that you remember that. All right, listen, if you found this video helpful, please consider sharing it with somebody who it might benefit. I'm so serious about this when I say that I wish there was a little bit more out there to try to help me with what I'm going through, my siblings, my parents, all the things. So if you know somebody that's dealing with some kind of crazy emotional drama, please feel free to share this with them. Please feel free to get them in touch with me. Please get in touch with me. Let's share in this community and try to get through these types of things together so that we can get through to the other side of dealing with emotional trauma and grief. And if you have some specific things that you'd like me to cover in the future, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification so that you don't miss any more videos with me. And take care. Take care of yourself and aim to be the best version of yourself every day, because whatever the trauma was, whether it was more of an event or you lost someone or whatever it was and whomever it might have been, trust me when I say they would want you to continue to work on being the best version of yourself.